Hello gamers, my name is Dan, aka Centaurian Mudpig. I am the sole developer of Absolute Territory, a space combat action simulator video game coming soon to PC on Steam and eventually maybe other channels. It's currently first release I'm ever gonna actually do. It's targeting one platform and also one store last month, and it doesn't really feel like I've done an awful lot, unfortunately. However, progress is happening. We made some changes to our menu screen. We've now got a different UI style in here, and this is a sci-fi asset pack. That means we've now got fancy stuff that's a bit more obvious where we're navigating in there. As a comparison to the old menu, of course, that was the old style, and new style is better. I think. I'm hoping it's an improvement. That's for certain. There's some things which haven't changed, like the combo boxes. Fortunately, this asset pack didn't use or didn't have any custom ones for some reason or other. They decided to go with a more of a switch selection rather than a combo drop down box. But with that sort of selection, if you've got a lot of items like screen resolution, it wasn't very tidy and a bit more cumbersome scrolling through every single item. And of course, we can now navigate fully our menus using the gamepad on the sliders and whatnot. Pretty similar to before. And in our simulator, yeah, changed it around, new buttons. Scoreboard is updated now, so we've got our top 10 entries going on in there. So it's coming more complete. Editor buttons left untouched at the moment. Editor needs things to be done in there. It still uses its old menu. But a lot of other things done, a lot of bug fixes going on there. Behind the scenes, things have been changed. I did lots of flair that I covered in a write-up dev diary for last month, such as weapons, weapon flares, weapon hit effects for the lasers, laser beams, camera shakes as well for getting hits by weapons fire, explosions, colliding with other ships, using your afterburner, lots of juicy details they call them, slowing down the camera when you get hit and die, and putting in a brief pause when you kill an enemy, because apparently it does something into your mind to make it stand out a bit more. Apparently. And in the level editor, in our placements, I made some changes, so I cannot remember for the life of me if I've ever shown this off. But extended details panel, stuff that you would have seen practically if you was doing a conditional action. We've got an identifier, that's a unique identifier for each ship, which will help you then when you want to run certain conditions or checks, like for vessel health, then you specify its identifier. We've got the display name, which is not unique and can be reused. It can be like just like vomitoria enemy, or you can specify like it's a wingman of such. And we've got our positioning and rotation. We can drag as we normally do. On the grid base, you can see in the minute that's always rotation grid base based on the location to the player in which grid quadrant. But we can change that if we want to and have it custom, and then adjust the rotation as we want. You're not wondering. First glance, it's probably a bit awkward, but that's your X, that's your Y, that's your Z. Well, it's a 2D grid. These coordinates are for 3D space. So on our Z-axis is in front of us, and when it's positive number. So therefore in 3D space it's 3000 as opposed to being on y-axis on 2D space. Therefore our y-axis would be the height. So above the player would be positive and negative would be below the player. And of course we've now got panning and zooming going on in the editor, and unfortunately I need to change some things because the keys are used. The same in here, which means when you're editing the values it just changes it around along with page up, page down. So I might need to change the keys or just make sure that page up, page down only occurs when we are actually got our mouse in that quadrant or area of the placements area. Something you've not seen is briefing screens. There we go. Then we get to change it around and do various other things that rich text formatting allows to do. I've not yet played around with it too much, but briefing screen will show up at the start of the mission. Debriefing screen will show up at the end of the mission. At the minute for the briefing, the only thing that you will be able to sort of look at behind the scenes data is when you've killed a player, but I forget how you define that tag. So I need to write that in a Wikipedia for the game. But you'll be able to display how many kills like the player has got. If you've got any wingmen, how many kills his wingman got. And hopefully more features come in as and when they crop up. Yeah, and other things, just things to tidy up and make sure everything's working fine and not confusing people. So I haven't saved this, but I'm going to click launch now rather than nothing happening and the player scratching their head is like, what's going on? We're now prompted with a save as dialogue so we can save it and they'll know that they're supposed to have saved it in there. And also with file names, before we could only just do text, upper and lowercase. Now it's all forced lowercase. We can have underscores and spaces going in there to a maximum of 30 characters still for the file name, not including the extension. Now what we've got in there, lowercase, just in case we do get to go to Linux and people say you need to have lowercase file names in there. So just a way of hopefully future-proofing. However, that really does depend on certain things, because I've used third-party utilities which may not be Linux compliant. I've also been looking for improving performance of the video game. I've been profiling it and closing off certain what people might consider memory leaks, but they're not. But garbage collection or garbage generation. So I'm making sure the game is not generating any garbage where possible. My own code. There might be some code out there, third party, like what I use for the AI for behavior trees, which unfortunately I can't do anything about. But certainly for my own code and code I've used for asset packs, which I've customized, I am making efforts to ensure that the less garbage generated, the better. And then coming on to our models, I've been using what's called a high-res spaceship creator pack and also the ultimate spaceship creator pack made by eBal and available on the asset store. I highly recommend those asset packs. You're going to be making your own space combat game in 3D, whether that is in Unity or in Unreal, it doesn't matter, because they provide the FBX files to use, and they provide them in components. So as you can see in this list here is made up of all the little bit components in there, and which is great for adding stuff on. But then you've got textures that you can't see behind there. So it's all individual base models put together, but that means there's more vertices and faces than you possibly might want to see, such as when we had this one selected here. It's quite high, and underneath of it, a lot of hidden vertices. So I did a little looking around, and I found a concept pack of Mash Baker, and this is a bait mesh now, and it's all considered one whole model. So there's no components on it. Still have all the individual meshes that belong to all the components of the individual 3D components. But I believe Mesh Baker also allows you to combine them. So I'll be looking at that at some point in the future for even better performance using like what they call a texture atlas. And then I've been also doing a bit of research on collisions or hitboxes. Specifically, I looked on Real Dangerous and also Starlancer, old and new. See how they did it. And what they did is they've got a large hitbox surrounding the ship, and that's exactly what I've gone and done, and created one around our ship and used what was called an icosphere and modified it curve around the ship, so that way when we're shooting smaller targets, it's going to be easier to hit than previously, because before, in order to combat that, I made sure that the ship guns would point in like half the distance of where they were placed on the ship they're firing from. Hopefully, like, make sure they're hitting towards the centre of the other ship, but not too close that they look like they're always pinpoint shooting in the middle of it. It looked a bit weird when they did that originally, and that has been done for all the fighter ships in the game as well. So they've all got the mesh baked, and they've all got a bubble shield, which is still a mesh filter, but surrounding it around nicely and neatly. The only difference is I've not updated anything with the transport. I need to decide how I'm going to do things with the transport, because at the minute we've got engines, and these engines can be destroyed because they are a substructure, which means they can take damage. So you can see we've got 800 health on there, and then the engines will just explode and disappear. But that just leaves this here. So I need to decide how I'm going to handle that for now, whether or not I'll keep in substructures so they can be destroyed, or keep the whole model as a whole, and then they all just disappear when the model gets destroyed or the ship gets destroyed. And that's it. Closing thoughts is just now that we've got a closed beta going on for Absolute Territory, where people have signed up to do it. People are now rolling in to play that, so a little nerve-wracking and exciting at the same time going on there. Hope you enjoyed the video, and until the next time, bye for now.